So we begin tonight. Hello. I had the feeling someone was behind me. We begin tonight with our first contestant in evening gown competition, Miss Florida, and that's Melissa Aguiles. Melissa, your question is, hold it just a second, Don. Melissa, your question is, America has a serious school dropout problem. What can be done about it?
Well, right now I'm beginning a program in Florida which I initiated called School is Cool, and I found that the problem has originated from the fact that today 2 parents are working, so when the kids come home from school, usually there's no one there. And this program would give the kids someplace to go after school instead of going out on the streets and possibly learning things that they don't need to be learning, and maybe even being discouraged from going to school.
Thank you, Miss Florida, Melissa Aguiles. Miss Pennsylvania, Denise Meyer. Denise, it has been said that the swimsuit competition is exploitative of women. What do you think?
I don't feel exploited in any way. I feel that the swimsuit competition is and should be allowed in the competition because Miss America keeps a very rigorous schedule and she needs to be in great shape, and what a better way than to show your swimsuit.
Miss Pennsylvania, Denise Meyer. New York, Mia Seminoff. Mia, what can be done to save the arts in this country?
Well, I think the arts are an integral part of young people. I think that they're very important for our children. I think that if we could help them in the school systems, learning about the arts through programs, that they would continue as they get older, and it would benefit the arts greatly.
Thank you, Mia Seminoff. Miss New York. Here's Miss Montana, Becky McCrae. Becky, let's talk about women in sports. How could they achieve greater equality with men?
I believe that women in sports could achieve greater equality with men if we started on an intramural level first with the women competing with the men to see if they can prove that they've got the right stuff just like they do. And if they do, I believe that should be carried into the professional area of sports, and the same wage is paid to women as to men.
All right, thank you, Becky McCrae. Miss Montana. Here's Miss Minnesota, Gretchen Elizabeth Carlson. Gretchen, what's the greatest problem on college campuses today?
Well, on a personal level, I attend Stanford University, and I find that the ideology of materialism seems to be very prevalent there. And I think the most important message that I could give to any college student would be to remain sincere. And I have learned that from growing up in Minnesota in a culture that truly values sincerity and genuine people.
It should. You got to spend 6 months indoors in the winter. Thanks, Gretchen. Gretchen Elizabeth Carlson, Miss Minnesota. Miss Tennessee, Carrie Folks. Carrie, there are many crises facing America today. Which one do you consider the most urgent and why?
I guess I would have to say that the most urgent crisis facing America today is probably the AIDS crisis. I feel that some people that have contacted the AIDS virus have been isolated from the rest of the world, and I don't like to see that happen.
Thank you, Carrie Folks. Miss Tennessee. Miss New Hampshire, Laura Lorette. Laura, how can leisure activities help one cope with all the stresses in the world today?
Leisure activities can take your mind off all those stressful things you do every day. You can lay back and think about nothing else but having a good time, relax, close your eyes, and forget about your whole day.
Would you like to do that now?
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Laura Lorette, Miss New Hampshire. Miss Virginia, April Fleming. April, the theme of our show tonight is success. How will you know when you're a success?
Well, I think I already am a success just by participating in the Miss America program. I feel very lucky and very fortunate to be here tonight. And I think all 51 contestants are successful. And my next goal, whatever it may be, if I can reach it just as far as I possibly can by trying my very best, I know that I'll be successful there too.
Thank you, April Fleming. Miss Virginia. Wendy Willis. Wendy, how has space technology helped in our everyday life?
In my case, space technology has helped a great deal. I'm in apparatus design for the physically handicapped, and we are designing space-age components to build that apparatus, should it be with a wheelchair or other useful things that the physically handicapped can use. In my case, it has made the physically handicapped more adaptable to today's environment and easily recognizable as an important part of our community.
Thank you, Wendy Willis. Miss Wyoming. New Mexico, Teresa Rodriguez. Teresa, do you think bilingual education is becoming a necessity in America?
I believe so. There are many young Hispanic children who do not know English in America, and I think that's very unfortunate. Although they do know their culture and they do know their tradition, I think that's fabulous, but they need to know English so they can be a better part in America.
Thank you, Teresa Rodriguez. Miss New Mexico. Miss Idaho, Susan K. Hart. Susan, nuclear energy is controversial. Do you think it's a viable energy source?
Yes, I do. I know that the INEL in Idaho provides much of the income in my area in southeast Idaho, and it is a vital resource to America.
Thank you, Miss Idaho. Susan K. Hart. Miss New Jersey, Patricia Lynn Bowman. Many young women here tonight are interested in going into the communications field. What are the requirements? Is it beauty, brains, or what?
I think it's a combination of everything. It's, of course, physical attractiveness because that's what people like to see on television, but it's more than that. You have to have intelligence and know exactly what you're doing to be credible and to get far and be successful within the field.
Thank you, Miss New Jersey, Patricia Lynn Bowman. Miss Alabama, Jenny Jackson. Jenny, you look very fit. And of course, there's a fitness boom going on. Is it just a fad or is it here to stay?
I believe it's here to stay. I think that there's a greater emphasis put on today on being healthy, and being physically fit plays a big part in that, and I think that it is here to stay.
Thank you, Jenny Jackson, Miss Alabama. Miss Kansas, Candace K. Pyle. Candace, in today's society, there's so many single parents looking after children. Who can the children look to as role models?
Well, something that I'm involved in my hometown is called the Big Brother Big Sister organization, and it's also called PALS in other parts of the country. And it gives the children an opportunity, of single parent children, to be involved with someone that's older than they are. My pal is 11 years old, and I can go do things with her, take her to movies, take her different places.
All right. Thank you very much. Candace K. Pyle, Miss Kansas. And now we have Miss Nebraska, Jody Sue Miller. Jody, are we doing enough for the handicapped in this country?
I think that the country's not quite aware enough about the handicapped. They have challenges every day, and they strive to meet those challenges. And I think we could learn a lot from them.
Thank you, Miss Nebraska, Jody Sue Miller. Miss Colorado, Maya Walker. Maya, some are saying that the feminist movement is losing steam. Do you agree, and why?
I don't believe it's losing steam. I think it's more that the men today are accepting women as an individual more than they used to maybe 20 years ago. So I think maybe that's why it seems like it's losing steam, but it's not. We're going on.
All right, thank you. Maya Walker, Miss Colorado. Sarah Ann Evans. Sarah, setting goals is easy, but what do you need to attain them?
I think you need a great deal of self-confidence, because if you believe in yourself, you might as well just go for it, because you never know what you're capable of until you try.
All right, we're going over there and try. Miss Ohio, Sarah Ann Evans. Evening gown competition, so we begin with Miss Georgia, Frances Fraser. How are you, Frances?
Fine, how are you?
With the policy of glasnost, the Soviet policy, is SDI, the Strategic Defense Initiative, still important?
Yes, I think it is. I think it's important for us to continue research and development in space, and the Star Wars program that President Reagan has given to us, I think should continue to be researched and developed.
Thank you. Miss Georgia, Frances Fraser. Our next contestant is Miss North Carolina, Lee Beeman. Lee? All of us want to be accepted and liked by others. How do you manage peer pressure when it conflicts with your values?
I think it's very important that we as individuals stand up for what we believe is right. And luckily in America, we have the freedom to do just that. We can state our opinions and stand our ground. We are free to do that in this wonderful land of America.
Thank you, Lee Beeman, Miss North Carolina. Miss Rhode Island, Jenna Wims. Jenna, artificial insemination is currently a very controversial issue. What are your thoughts on this subject?
Well, I think we're caught on the horns of a dilemma. While it is a boon to those people who cannot conceive by other means, it also can be misused. I think we have to watch it carefully to make sure that people don't decide that they want a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl and start genetic selection. That's a little bit like playing God. So for the time being, I think it just bears watching.
Thank you, Miss Rhode Island, Jenna Wims. Miss Oregon, Anna Jones. Anna, with all the hyperbole and rhetoric, what must the presidential candidates do to help you make your choice?
Well, I think that one of the most important things for the presidential candidates to do so that I can make an informed vote is to debate face to face so that I can see both candidates address all the issues and make my own judgment.
Thank you, Miss Oregon. Anna Jones. Miss West Virginia, Lisa Seagroves. Lisa, in the world today there are those who just want to make money. Are young people using them as role models, do you think?
I think it depends on the individual themselves. If it's a business person who has succeeded and has taken it gradually, worked very hard for it, and has not been given it, then I think those people are good role models. But I don't think that all youths are looking at people just for money. I think they're setting goals for things that they've worked really hard for, and I don't think money necessarily has to play a big part of it.
Thank you, Lisa Seagroves, Miss West Virginia. Miss Iowa, Tiffany DiBernardo. Tiffany, looking into your future, do you think the older generation has handed you a burden that's, well, kind of scary?
Well, I guess looking at the deficit, I think the national debt has toppled about $2.6 trillion this year. That scares me, seeing that I have a good 80 years left in this country. I think that it needs to be a joint effort between the government and our people. They didn't just do all this on their own. I think we let them do this.
Thank you, Tiffany DiBernardo, Miss Iowa. Miss Maine, Lisa Kent. Lisa, they're taking the Olympics to what amounts to a politically torn country. Do you believe the Olympics will lose some of their meaning?
Not at all. The Olympians have worked extremely hard in each of their events, and they're very excited, and as we all are as audience. And I really think that the support is there, and any confrontation, I think, can be ignored because they're so excited and so up for their event.
Thank you, Miss Maine, Lisa Kent. Miss South Dakota, Catherine Barnes. Catherine, a lot of women consider bodybuilding very unfeminine. What are your thoughts on the subject?
I feel that bodybuilding is an excellent source of exercise combined with a good aerobic regimen. Women of today are very busy. They're career-minded women, and with today's health-conscious society, they need to have a good exercise program that gives them fast results, and bodybuilding does just that.
Good. How much do you press?
10 pounds.
Miss South Dakota, Catherine Barnes. Thanks, Catherine. Miss Connecticut, Maria Ann Caparel. Maria, you're planning on a career. Do women have to have an aggressive quality to succeed in business today?
Women don't have to be aggressive, but they surely do have to be assertive. We are in a man's world today, but we work just as hard as they do, and we persevere just as much. I believe that women can be women can be aggressive, and we can do very well in a man's world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Connecticut, Maria Ann Caparel. Miss Louisiana, Valerie Brossett. Valerie, one of society's grave problems is abused children. How would you go about helping them?
I think that if I had the resources to help abused children, the main thing that I would do is try to set up counseling and care for them. Because they're children who have lived with anger and hate all their lives, and I think a little bit of love in their lives would help them greatly.
Thank you, Valerie. Miss Louisiana, Valerie Brossett. Miss South Carolina, Anna Graham Reynolds.
You got it right.
I got the Graham in there. Anna, as a conscientious young American woman, what one thing could you do to help alleviate America's drug problem?
Well, I've been a member of Just Say No to Drugs, and I've talked to young people. And I think the most important thing that I could possibly do is just be a good example for them.
Thank you, Anna Graham Reynolds. Miss South Carolina. Miss Utah, Sophia Christine Simcoe. Sophia, in the race to save lives from catastrophic diseases, do you think the Food and Drug Administration is a help or is it a hindrance?
I feel the Food and Drug Administration is a help in that it's important that we test our products for the safety of the public. Already we have products out on the market which we've found now over the years that are causing problems with people's health. So I feel it's important that it's tested even though it's tedious and time-consuming for everybody's health. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia Christine Simcoe. Miss Utah. Miss California, Marlise Ricardos. Marlise, today the media makes news. You've had a few days here in Atlantic City and time with the press. Do you think of them as responsible or do you think of them as hostile?
Well, Gary, I approach this subject with a certain amount of ambivalence. On the one hand, I believe the media has their right to the First Amendment, which is freedom of the press and freedom of speech. However, on the other hand, you have to weigh an individual's right to their privacy.
Thank you. Marlise Ricardos, Miss California. Miss Maryland, Lori Ann Windsor. Lori, is glasnost changing the way Americans perceive the Soviet Union, and if so, how?
Yes, it is changing the impression that we have of the Soviet Union, because the changes that they have made, they have opened up their press, so we hear about things that are going on in the Soviet Union. We're also seeing that the Soviet people aren't commies, that they are real people, and it's only our governments that are different.
Thank you, Miss Maryland. Lori Ann Windsor. Miss Hawaii, Desiree Moana Cruz. Desiree, is there value to one entering the workforce before pursuing a college education? Yes. Is there a value to someone entering the workforce before pursuing a college education?
Yes. Gary, 7 years ago, I had a goal in my life, and that was to travel around the world. Today, I've completed that goal. I've been to over 23 countries, and I've taken that experience, and I know exactly where I've come from, how it relates to me today, and exactly where I'm going from here. And that's to complete my formal education.
Thank you, Miss Hawaii. Desiree Moana Cruz. Miss Arizona, Lisa Mandel. Lisa, considering the seriousness of pollution, is the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, doing its job?
I feel that in the state of Arizona, yes, the EPA is doing its job, although it could be a little bit further. In the state of Arizona, we have several acts that are helping out the EPA. One, each day, 1 day a week, the people of Arizona are asked to leave their cars at home and take public transportation to work in helping out our public pollution situation.
Thank you, Lisa Mandel. Miss Arizona. Miss Indiana, Joni McMecken. Joni, rock music has been with us now for a quarter of a century, and it doesn't look like it's going to lessen its grip. Is it going to finally wipe out opera and the classics?
I certainly hope that rock music will not wipe out opera and the classical music. I feel that if we could bring classical music into the education system, young children could start learning and appreciating this music at an early age. Then they could turn to this type of music instead of drugs or alcohol.
Thank you, Joni McMecken. Miss Indiana. For the past 2 nights, we've added a new dimension this year. Each of our contestants are being asked a question based on the content of their interview, but she will not know just what the question is. So it should be interesting again this evening. We begin with Miss Delaware, Laura Kathleen Ludwig. Laura, the ocean has become a vast dumping ground. Does this pose a real environmental threat? Why?
I think it definitely does. The ocean is a vital part of our environment, and it provides us with many of our important things that we use in the world. And living right by the beach, I know how awful it is to see the garbage and the waste that's floating up on our oceans and causing problems with our environment.
Thank you very much, Laura Kathleen Ludwig. Miss Delaware. Miss Missouri, Heather Smith. Heather, Has the news business become show business? What's your position?
Well, I don't feel that the news business has completely become show business. I know that some journalists have the philosophy that if it bleeds, it leads. But I think that society has accepted violence just a little bit more. So you might see a change in how news is presented, but I don't think you're seeing a change in the content.
Thank you. Heather Smith, Miss Missouri. If it bleeds, it leads. I like that. Miss Washington, Talia Ruth Watland. Talia, everybody talks about helping the homeless. Have you done anything in particular to help them?
Yes, Gary, I have. In Seattle, I'm a part of the JC program, which is a leadership development program. We are working to help the homeless people in Seattle, getting them educated, getting them food, and getting them jobs. And it's wonderful to be a part of that program.
Thank you, Talia Ruth Watland. Miss Washington. Miss Texas, Kathy Castro. Kathy, what social issue in this country would you personally like to deal with and why?
A state that has over 30% of the Hispanic population that is illiterate, I feel that I have taken on a personal responsibility to be a role model not only for myself but for those that are less fortunate than I.
Thank you, Kathy Castro. Miss Texas. Miss Illinois, Dawn Spicuzza. Dawn, an important part of being Miss America is communication, especially communicating through the press. How would you use this valuable tool?
I would use this tool to make sure that, first of all, before I said anything at all, I was very clear on what I was saying to the press. You must take time in considering what you are saying to them, because you can't control the press, but you can control what you say.
Thank you, Miss Illinois. Dawn Spicuzza. Miss Alaska, Lana K. Middow. Lana, what trait best describes the people of your state and why?
Well, I feel Alaskans are very unique in many different ways. One of the most important is the fact that they're very independent, and I believe that they are risk takers and that they are very fortunate to live in the state that they do and be able to express themselves in that way by being individualistic and independent.
Thank you very much, Miss Alaska. Lana K. Middow. Miss Nevada, Deborah Schuler. Deborah, we've come a long way in the battle for human rights. What about animals' rights? Should we be as concerned, and why?
Well, Gary, I think that there are really two issues that we need to address here. First of all is the usage of animals for the furtherment of science, and secondly, the use of animals for the killing of animals for sport. I think those are two very, very different issues. And the first, of course, which I would tend to support, and the second of which I would not.
Thank you, Miss Nevada. Deborah Schuler. Now we have Miss Kentucky, Micah Darby. Micah, what's the most serious problem that an American school teacher faces?
I think today's teacher needs to teach. So many times we see the teachers just wanting a job, and that's where we need to start. We need to start at the basis and get a good teacher that wants to teach our children because they are our future of tomorrow.
Thank you, Miss Kentucky, Micah Darby. Miss Oklahoma, Lori Lee Kelly. Lori, what quality of the people of your state enables them to cope with their problems?
One of Oklahoma's greatest resources are her people, and the people of Oklahoma have resilience. And in the last few years, Oklahoma has not had the best of times, but we are the kind of people, we stand up, we start fighting again, even though we get knocked down. We don't let it get us down, but we get right back up and we start fighting.
Thank you, Miss Oklahoma, Lori Lee Kelly. From the District of Columbia, Patricia Moran. Patricia, how have your work experiences prepared you for your career choice?
My work experiences, both for Congressman Hughes down in Washington, D.C., and working in the admissions office at Catholic University of America, have prepared me in the best way by giving me opportunities and advantages to display my talents and learn things the hard way, make mistakes, and try again.
Thank you. Patricia Moran, District of Columbia's representative. Miss Wisconsin, Jeannie Marie Pfeiffer. Jeannie, in a nation where over half the women are in the workforce, what is the primary way to provide daycare?
Well, one philosophy that I've always enjoyed and tried to live by is that daycare is corporate, and that if we provide it through government incentives, that we could provide daycare to those working mothers, and also to provide in-home care and incentives through tax credits also.
Thank you, Miss Wisconsin, Jeannie Marie Pfeiffer. Miss Vermont, Julie Tidd. Julie, you're teaching now. More and more we see the classroom becoming the scene of violence and crime. What's causing this?
As a member of the teaching community, I'm finding that our students coming into the school systems need to have the support of their families and the communities that they're living in. And with the parents taking a more active role with their children, we're going to see more moralistic and wiser choices in the classroom as far as their behavior is concerned.
Thank you, Julie Tidd. Miss Vermont. Miss Arkansas, Patty Thorne. Patty, music has long been considered therapeutic. Would you describe today's music that way, and if so, why?
I think that I would describe it as therapeutic, and I think for a long time it's been aesthetic. But my interest for music therapy, getting my master's degree in that area, I think it's very therapeutic, working with a wide variety of people, adults and children, giving them stimulation that they might not otherwise find.
Thank you, Miss Arkansas. Patty Thorne. Miss Michigan, Krista Ann Blumgren. Krista, should an appreciation of the fine arts begin at home or should it begin at school? Where would it be more effective?
I believe that appreciation of the fine arts is a combination of both of those. It should start in the home. It should be something that parents encourage in their children to listen to and to expand their knowledge of different kinds of fine arts, to become more creative, and to become more critical thinkers later on in life.
Thank you, Krista Ann Blumgren. Miss Michigan. Miss Mississippi, Carla Haig. Carla, it's tough to raise a family, it's tough to work. How can a woman work today and raise a family at the same time?
I believe the key to it is balance. I believe if a woman who is working can balance both her career and her marriage, then she's successful and she can be a successful working woman.
Thank you, Carla Haig. Miss Mississippi. Miss North Dakota, Tina Curran. Tina, you're a dancer. Many here tonight want to become performing artists. The rejection rate is extremely high. How can you deal with this?
The challenges of an artistic career are hard and very many, but the rewards are even greater, and it's those rewards that make artists crave the lifestyle and the career that they want.
Thank you, Tina Curran, North Dakota. And our last contestant tonight in evening gown is Miss Massachusetts, Diana Lynn Steckler. Diana, this is a timely question. Does the media have the right to invade the privacy of those who aspire to public office?
I feel someone in the public eye should realize when they step into that position, they are in public scrutiny, and they should realize that anything in their past may come up.
All right, thank you, Miss Massachusetts. Diana Lynn Steckler.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love you anyway. It's good to be home. It's good to be back in Atlantic City. And thank you for inviting old Miss America back. And now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's competition begins with our contestants in swimsuit competition. May we present Miss Georgia, Frances Frazier. Miss North Carolina, Lee B.
And let's begin with swimsuit competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present our contestants in swimsuit competition, beginning with Miss Delaware, Laura, Kathleen, Ludwig. Miss Missouri, Heather Smith. Miss Washington, Talia Ruth Watland. Miss Texas, Kathy Castro. Miss Illinois, Dawn Spikuza. Miss Alaska, Lana K. Middle. Miss Nevada, Deborah Schuler. Miss Kentucky, Micah Darby. Miss Oklahoma, Laurie Lee Kelly. Miss District of Columbia, Patricia Lauren. Miss Wisconsin, Jean Marie Pfeiffer. Mississippi, Paula Hay. Miss North Dakota, Tina Curran. Miss Massachusetts, Diana Lynn Steckler. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. And I will see you later. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present our contestants in swimsuit competition as we begin with Miss Florida, Melissa Evelise. Miss Pennsylvania, Denise Meyer. Miss New York, Mia Siminoff. Miss Montana, Becky McRae. Miss Minnesota, Gretchen Elizabeth Carlson. Miss Tennessee, Carrie Folks. Miss New Hampshire, Laura Lorette. Teresa Rodriguez. Miss Idaho, Susan K. Hart. Miss New Jersey, Patricia